Hello, this is Everett Pierce, and it is June the 21st, 2017. And it's 11:31 a.m. or p.m. I'm sorry. Earlier, around 10:15 p.m. Earlier, I was taking a good friend of mine, whom I call the cat lady, the true definition of cat lady, out to get some food for her cats and food for herself. And so I took her back. We loaded the groceries inside, and I end up leaving and head back home. So, anyways, I went down the street and I was at a light. I had to wait for a red light. So, because right now, in terms of timing, just a lot of things happening. And it's also down in the area that the serial killer that was apprehended here in Arizona happened to be down in that area. So I always try to use caution, but more so even now. Okay, and that's why I try to encourage people to use their sense of awareness. So even this situation that happened to me tonight happened very quickly, so I didn't really have enough response time to actually record it. So I'm seriously considering one of those dash videos where it's running and recording at all times, because who knows what I might encounter. Because right now, since I don't have video, you would have to just take my word for what happened tonight. And I, with certainty, we had a close call. Now, I wouldn't necessarily say a close call for death in terms of me, possibly for the person who would have T-boned me. But anyways, I had the green light and something just told me to say pause. So I had the right of way and I'm going into the turn. But so I pulled my foot off the gas and I looked this way just to double check. And then as soon as I went this way, which was a mid-sized car, it was dark in color. I didn't, when he came by real quickly, I would say it was a Mexican because of the dark hair, but that necessarily because of the darkness. So that's by the grain of salt. Now, if I had video, then I could play it back to see in terms, but that's irrelevant, really. So anyways, I took notice that, and that's what from now, I'm rolling back. The person didn't even put on his brakes, and it happened to be Arizona. Last I heard that we are the number one in all the nation of red light runners. So anyways, I noticed that when he went through the red light, he wasn't accelerating like he knew of the light and he was trying to hurry and make it through, and it just happened to be he didn't make it. Nor did I see him put the brakes on. So when things are happening so quickly, I'm already picking up 1,000 million different things. Because in the event I have to recreate this, is to be as accurate as possible. So it just happened to be my inner instincts of something being wrong, kind of like a cat. So even though I have a strong relationship with God, and I've God on my side, I have the death energy on my side, but I don't misuse it or abuse it. Meaning I still take measures of safety and stuff like that. And then things that is outside my reach of things, that's where God comes in. That's where the death energy comes in as my guardian angel. And that's what happened tonight. This person didn't hit the brakes. He wasn't accelerating, and it was definitely a he. So it tells me he was driving down the road, he oblivious to the light, and had not hesitated those few seconds when I had the green light, it would have definitely, without a doubt, with certainty, would have put me out in the intersection, and he would have hit me squarely, as what they call in an accident, a T-bone. And that would have pissed me off. Because considering this is my only car, it may not be the best car and it has its problems, but it's my car and it's my only means of getting around. And then it would really piss me off to find out this person don't even have insurance. So, but that's not an argument. But what I do say is through the grace of God and my efforts to really put emphasis on timing and placement of things, being aware of my surroundings, will heighten up my level of awareness. And, this is not the first time that I have encountered this. In fact, there've been a few other times that actually had people in the car that actually witnessed what was happening. And that's what the unfortunate thing about this is, that you almost have to be there next to me to really absorb in what's really happening with me, with my relationship with God. Because, like I said, my relationship with God is a second by second. And so as I'm communicating to it, it's like when they say God created the earth and on the seventh day it rested. It was actually because of me, because God's saying, Everett, I need a break. So anyways, a little sense of humor. So when my communications with God is interrupted, then it brings caution to me. So I'm driving down the street and I was asking God some things and putting some pieces to the puzzle, and there was a long delay before I even got to the light. I'm like, okay, that's kind of unusual. And then when it changed green. And I was like, I'm still not getting a response from God. Even to tell me to shut the hell up, And I said, okay, something's out of place. And that's one of many communications that God can use to signal to me, if it stopped, then I need to use caution or I need to stop. So that's when I was at the light and I said, okay, something ain't right. So I took my foot off the gas pedal, and as soon as I turned this way, and I could just see, it was almost like it was in slow motion. And I could, even though he was moving, what you would normally be driving down the street of Thomas. So it was Thomas and 51. So when I saw it coming by, and I was like, holy smoke. And then when he came in front of the car, it was within 1.5 feet to 1 foot from my bumper. I mean, that's how close. So I took my foot off the gas, and at some point I actually had to hit the brake, but not real hard. So in a crisis situation, the rule of thumb is you don't panic and you think it out. So that's what had happened to me tonight. And like I said, I always give my thanks to situations like that. I give thanks to God. I thank myself for taking the effort to the sense of awareness. I even give thanks to that individual because it never, nothing came from it. Okay, when he had passed and he realized what had almost happened, then he hit his brake. And I said, well, I can imagine he's probably crapping himself about right now, realizing he could have been part of a fatality. Now me, I would probably end up in the hospital being pissed off because my car is screwed up. So, but either way, okay. And why am I putting this video out? Is it happened between 10:13. Well, when I text my friend, I said, wow, what just happened? It was 10:15. So just before 10:15 is when this happened. So and I had a sense this was a telltale sign of something that's in the field of energy yet to happen. So if something comes in the news of a situation or an attack, is take notice to the time. If it's like 1013, 1014, and if it has something to do with a mid-size car that's of a dark color, that's how, in terms of a detective, I pay attention to these little details. Because especially when they have these are tones of what's in the field of energy. It's a metaphor. It's insight. It's like pieces to the puzzle. So I'm going to pay attention, and I hope you pay attention of the details in which I've given you. So if the message was given to me so I can do a video, so it passes it on to you, and someone takes awareness that minimize something or stop something, because it has that tone to what happened tonight. And to be that close to a T-bone, and I mean, it wouldn't have been nice. I mean, I would have felt all the pain of that. Not to mention screw my car up. So anyways, that is the word. I don't have proof of it, but it did happen. And I'm definitely going to look into a dash cam, just like what we see in the police. Because maybe it's there are many reasons why I would want that. Because if you're in an accident and you are innocent, you can prove you're innocent. Maybe something happens. Maybe an asteroid comes in and you just happen to catch that. So in terms of video, I mean, sometimes these videos, catching it at the right time, it can be priceless. So that's another thing that hit me strong tonight, is I think it's time to have a dash cam. And I might even do a back dash cam. So that way I got video of front and back side. And I suppose you could really go all out and put on all sides. Front, back, side, left, and right. But I'll start with the front dash cam. Because I don't know how many times I've run into a situation, like one not long ago, just a matter of days ago. This guy had pulled out at least halfway into the road. And it was like, how could you not know? How could that even be acceptable? So I made it look like I was going to plow right into him. So he was still oblivious to what he was doing. And he was looking that way. And so by the time I thought maybe I was going to try to scare him, I already had it complete under control of that situation. So by the time I said, okay, I better veer over, then he looks this way. And then he's like, oh my God, pay attention. Wow. So that just happened to me too. I wish I had that on camera. Because when I say these things, and the best of it is if you're in the passenger seat, when I point these things out in terms of energy, what's in the field of energy, telltale sign, pieces to the puzzle. I mean, I do this naturally. I can just pull out these thousands of things that's happening in a parable type situation, and then make sense of it. And then a lot of people that are really close to me, or my energy partners, they're like, wow, wow. I mean, it's not like fantasy. It's like, how you couldn't redo that. You couldn't replicate that. And I was like, wow. And then what they do, they start looking and developing their sense of awareness of pointing out and picking up certain details. And that has paid off for the friends that I know. But the best true experience is be able to sit next to me, minute by minute, and I explain things to you. So, anyways, I just had to share that with you tonight. I just hope to God, because it has this tone, that is insight to the next event or disaster that waits in the field of energy. So we'll end it right there. I just thank the God, thank everything, thank myself, and I just thank everything that was in my path that day, that it happened exactly of timing, of placement, everything, because it had it deviated ever so slightly, I would have been in a different place, a different timing, and things could be really nasty right now. I'm actually in my bed doing this video versus being in intensive care. And that is of a certainty of certainty of certainty. So, I bless from that. Hopefully what I just conveyed to you brings certain level or a lot of blessings to you. And that's the whole objective, is to be smarter about things, like Trump has said many times. Be awareness, and it goes without saying, actually. But a lot of people, like I just explained, the guy that was halfway into the road, not even paying attention. If I wasn't paying attention, I would have plowed right into him, and the way I would have hit him in that car, he would have been dead. And the rate in which I was going with the speed limit, but still, the way I would have clipped him if I wasn't paying attention, yeah, he would have been a goner. And so anyways, we'll end it right there. So I'm very thankful. Hopefully you can benefit from my experience from tonight as a telltale sign to maybe minimize or stop a future event. And I would say if it's going to happen, it's usually within 3 days of what I call the Mothman prophecy. Have you ever seen the movie? It's like weird things happen before the real disaster happens. So, thank you for your time, and Godspeed. And I'm going to bed. Good night.